Hello, everyone. It's the Pirate People podcast from North Central Missouri College's Pirates Digital Media, and I am Rick Cole. Welcome back to our podcast. Today's guest is Phyllis Jackson. She has been a fixture in the community and at North Central Missouri College, but stretches back to the old Trenton Junior College days, where she was a graduate in 1967. She has gone on to be a successful teacher in school in English, and she has owned her own business, so she's done a lot of things. But like you said, graduated from Trenton Junior College in 67. Was she a flower child? You have to wait and find out as we visit today with Phyllis Jackson.
Welcome, first of all, Phyllis. Good to have you on the podcast because you have such a wide knowledge of North Central. Trenton Junior College.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you still have trouble with the terminology, Trenton Junior College versus North Central?
I do not, actually. No, I think I've been so blessed to go through the transition all the way from back then up through. I think had I not had involvement throughout the years, it would have been more difficult. I do have friends that went to Trenton Junior College, TJC, and they still cannot refer to it by any other name than TJC. But that's great because that's a continuum that I like to see happen.
Yeah, what year was it that we made the changeover, approximately? Do you remember?
Well, it was in the 80s that we changed from TJC to NCMC, and that required a vote of the local school district in order to let the college become a freestanding away from the school district. In a sense, the school district was no longer the governing body for the college. However, the school district remains our tax district for monies that we receive, which is minimal. It is absolutely the lowest in the state of Missouri.
Wow.
So yes, we made a break to be able to govern ourselves in the 80s, but we still have a tie, certainly, to the school district.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit because Trenton Junior College began, if I understand it correctly, as grades 13 and 14 in the public school district. I'd never heard of that concept before.
I know, it was really interesting, and I'll have to give credit. It was actually a group of women who came up with the concept that rather than calling it a seminary or even a college, that they just wanted to extend the amount of time and classes that the students could have that was beyond the high school diploma. So these women went to a lot of work to present it in kind of stages to the school board, and it made it a lot more palatable to say that it was the grades 13 and 14. So yes, it was always billed as Trenton School District grades, and it wasn't kindergarten at that point, it was grades 1 through 14.
Do you remember by any chance who some of those women were?
I don't. I have done research to try to get some of the names. There is one name recorded in Tom Brown's history book that I recall, but I didn't know the person, so I've not retained that name, but I need to do that and research a little bit about who those other women might be.
And those 14 grade levels were contained in which building?
It's what is now the Adams Apartments. At the time, that was the Trenton High School, and it remained Trenton High School and Junior College through 1967, the graduation classes of 1967. At that point, it became Adams Middle School, and then when the school district rearranged and they had built a new high school, and then the elementary schools were transitioning away from junior high, then they divided up differently, and then it became the Adams Apartments and was completely redone. Though it still has the original stage area, not the full auditorium that it had. It was a snake pit basketball game, both for the high school and for the junior college.
They both played there.
Yes, yes, there was always a fight for that dilapidated gym, but it provided that was really the only athletics that we had to speak of.
Is that gone now? Is that part of the auditorium that's gone?
It's gone.
That's too bad.
I'm sorry that they took away that gym area because it was a snake pit and it had elevated seats, balcony kind of all the way around it.
Neat. That's like the movie Hoosiers.
Very, very similar to that. Yeah.
I love those old gyms. I wish I could have seen that.
Now, Now, athletes that played were really had horrible memories, the college as well as the high school, with the locker rooms
Right.
that were a part of that old facility. So I don't think anybody misses that part of it.
Okay, well, we, like all things in the past, we reminisce and,
Right.
so, yeah.
Right.
The concept of the I guess grades 1 through 14, is that similar in some way to what we do now with dual credit learning in the high schools? Would that be a comparable?
That's a good concept. I'd have to think about that. Somewhat, except I'll tell you this, the high schoolers were not allowed on the 3rd floor of that building because that was a junior college. So we at the time didn't get to access any of that. It was definitely a high school graduation and then 13 and 14.
Right.
So no, we didn't really get to access it like we should have. That would have been a good concept even then.
Yeah. Phyllis, tell us a little bit more about your memories of the old Trenton Junior College, the things you know about that, because I think you have a vast encyclopedia of knowledge about this place.
So you're calling me old? Is that
no,
what you're saying?
I'm just as old as you are, and I feel it every day. You seem to wear it well.
No, thanks.
No, so I just get older.
Yeah. Well, and with me, my memories get a little bit. I maybe make up some of the things that I remember, but not necessarily.
This is the internet, and that's okay. You know, you get away with a lot of stuff.
Yes,
I'm going to count on these being valid. So.
Okay. Well, I'll try to keep it there. We shared instructors. The high school and the junior college shared instructors. So lots of times. Sometimes, I guess, our instructors would not be in our classrooms because they were still doing something with the junior college classes that they were teaching. But it did benefit us, too, that a lot of the materials that they were providing for the junior college, we got probably some remnants from that, and in particularly our senior year, I think we did. We were real fortunate to have several instructors. Don Dalrymple, that is currently a board of trustee and retired from here not long ago, was one of those, and I believe the first year he taught, if I recall correctly, he was there at the old building, and then he moved up to the new campus as well. So he's still around and kicking, and I think he has memories, but I don't know.
He shared some about the sharing facilities, and specifically the gym, the auditorium, but some others as well, where the college, even after they had moved, had to still share that facility, like until the Ketchum was built.
Yes, absolutely. Another memory I have is that, of course, it was available to everybody, but scholarships were pretty limited.
Interesting.
Yes, I received a $50 scholarship
wait, say it again. A what?
$50, $50. That actually was very beneficial. It helped a great deal, as did others, particularly in the Trenton district. I don't know that any scholarships were offered outside of the district at all at that point, which I think is quite a legacy in itself, how that part of the college has evolved completely as well. There were probably 20 of us in my graduating class of 160 that received, they didn't call them board of trustees, I don't recall what they called them, but basically from the school board to use for Trenton Junior College. And so I recall that minimal, but the costs also were minimal.
Absolutely.
So that $50 took care of everything for me.
The whole thing?
Yep, took care of everything. Of course, I still lived at home, which that was the concept, I think, of why they didn't offer as many scholarships, because everybody stayed at home. Had very few commuters at the time, generally speaking. If they were commuters, they were in the county. But as far as starting to draw from afar, we didn't for quite a while.
Right. Let's flash forward a little bit to the present day North Central. We all sell North Central in some way, trying to promote it and all that, including this podcast, to be honest. But what do you see as the best part of North Central right now, present day?
Well, I think the faculty. I will give them credit absolutely for creating a very positive environment. And that ranges all the way from our nursing programs through the sports. I think that most of our instructors, the faculty and staff, all have great pride in this college. And they take it very personally, and they deliver, I think, very personally as well. there are many, many students yet that are very insecure when they come to college, wherever it is. And time after time after time, I hear from students how it has been the faculty and staff that have helped them feel at home, whether they stay on campus or whether they commute in, and they feel like they're wanted here.
Right.
And that has to come from the faculty and staff. Certainly the administration promotes that. I think the community promotes it. I think for the most part, though it's not always been this way, I think for the most part that the community is thrilled to have the students on site, thrilled to have that connection, thrilled for the programs and all that the college offers that probably the town would not be able to have without it. So I think the whole atmosphere of being welcoming to the students is one of the best parts of the college.
You're kind of reading my mind because I wanted to ask you about the relationship through the years between the community and the college. So you bringing that up, can you talk about that a little bit, please, about the transition from, as you said, maybe not accepting it at first?
Yes, I will. And again, this is my memories, and
Right.
Specifically, I don't know dates particularly, but I do know events. And I would say that 95% of this almost 100 years have been nothing but positive acceptance of students and the college, absolutely. Like many other things societally, we went through a transition that we reflected probably what that society change was.
When are you talking generally? The 60s?
No, about in the 80s and
Okay.
early 90s. There were two different segments that I recall that we had some tension, actually, but didn't we everywhere?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't...
Has it ever gone away? I mean, not just
No.
this specific, but tension across the United
Right.
States and the world, whatever.
Absolutely. We just seldom see it played out very much here in our small community. It did happen even to the point of one time that we had to limit our athletics because there was a actual physical altercations that happened, unfortunately.
That
but
is
as I
unfortunate.
said, it was very minimal. The college was right on it, absolutely acted, didn't react.
Right.
Certainly stood beside the students at all times.
Right.
So for the most part, absolutely, this community has been so welcoming in many, many ways. We even talk about our international students that come
Right,
in.
right.
How many families have basically adopted
Yes.
many of the international students to provide them housing when the dorm shuts down over the holidays or food when,
Yes, yeah.
So really, I think we can say that almost everybody has been completely welcoming and happy to have the college here.
I had an experience recently with an athlete, and this athlete is from St. Louis and from a more urban background. To say that he was surprised. He was surprised how welcoming everybody was, because that's not what he expected. And I think that's probably true in a lot of cases, that it's a pleasant surprise to come here and be as welcomed as they are.
And I'm
students.
pleased that the community does that, because can you imagine the cultural shock
Oh yeah,
coming from St. Louis? I mean,
yeah.
you don't need to talk about
It's amazing to me.
anything else, just the culture difference
Right.
between St. Louis and Trenton, Missouri.
Right. Or
And
Brooklyn, or
exactly
wherever.
which- yes,
Yeah.
we have had many who have come from afar, primarily as athletes, but also as international students
You
that
bet.
had nothing to do with athletics at all.
Yeah.
We had one young woman, that came here and went through the nursing program, and her background would have, had she gone elsewhere, I think would have been very difficult
Right.
for her to make the transition into the college, but also into the culture of small town America.
Yeah. How good is our nursing program? Because
Oh, my word.
I mean, to me, it's amazing the things and the quality of students they turn out. How good are we in nursing?
Well, we must be pretty good when we have waiting lists every semester. And that includes 3 semesters, even through the summer.
Right.
We have waiting lists all the time for people wanting into the program. People that have gone through their LPN, that's what I call it, that's not what it's called now,
Right.
but they've gone through that program and stand and wait in order to be admitted into the RN, because the RN numbers are smaller.
Yeah, sure.
And a
that's
lot
amazing.
of that has to do with certainly the training that they receive here, and that they are sent out prepared to test, prepared to pass their exams in order to get their licensure, which doesn't happen in an awful lot of programs. So we're very thankful about that. A lot of it also has to do with, we have many non-traditional students in the nursing program. They are goal-oriented. They know what they want now. They've tried other things and they come back. So they test successfully. They
Right.
go out into the workplace successfully. I think another measuring stick is how many times I go to Kansas City or St. Joe or other places and just randomly, not in a hospital or doctor setting, but just randomly run across people who have NCMC shirts on.
Really?
And it turns out that they came through the nursing program. And many of the hospitals just sing the accolades of this program completely.
Right.
So to me, that's a pretty clear indicator
Yes.
of the quality of program that we have here.
Yeah, I think so too. Along with agriculture and our business and everything, but nursing seems to do very, very well in terms of recruiting, as you said, waiting for those kids to come off the list and then training them and getting them certified in whatever they need. I'm simply amazed by it. I'm amazed. You are in the medical field in some way, right? Were you at
No.
some point? No. What
Nope.
did you do professionally when you got out of North Central?
Okay, I left and went to Northwest Missouri State at Maryville, majored in English education, secondary
Okay.
primarily. I taught for 16 years. I had a minor in music, so I also taught music and speech. Then you could mix all those.
Right.
I can't do that so much now.
No.
But I taught for about 16 years, both pre-children and post-children, as I moved into a different realm there, certainly. After that, in 1993, then I established a small business that I had that actually we expanded into about 16 counties in Northwest Missouri.
Wow.
So I had always vowed I would never be a business owner because my dad was.
Oh.
And I saw the headaches of a business owner.
Right.
But for some reason drifted back toward that. But some of that had to do with, at the time, feeling the need to get out of education.
Right.
That was in 1993, and the trends were not positive in public education
Yes,
at that point.
exactly.
So I'll just have to tell you that I feel that I was picked up and moved out of the classroom. I was moved into a setting where I taught the parents because primarily I employed people who were not employable for
Right.
one reason or another.
Right. Okay.
And by doing that, helped many of them learn the importance of education
Yes.
so that their students would stay.
You're kind of talking about, I think, kind of a vocational education, which has become, very, very popular, very used in
Yes.
public schools today, and getting away from the idea of the Henry Ford assembly line kind of
Right.
instruction.
Right.
Which, boy, we could talk for hours on that one, but I'm a big fan of getting away from that. Did you kind of, at the end of it, kind of feel like it was time to move on? Did you kind of have that, I don't know, kind of that thing where this is the end of the line for me? Because that's how it happened for me.
As far as education,
yeah.
well, it was very clear during my last year of instruction. I started teaching in Iowa, and then I moved back to Missouri in the early 70s and taught at Jameson. And there I taught K through 12. And I loved that because I was able to study the curriculum, to know age-appropriate curriculum, but still to get to the end point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so from there, I was employed by various school districts to come in and help straighten out their English departments that had been kind of negligent in
Yes.
some of the training that they knew. And so then from there, I did that several different places, and then from there, I finished my career at Jamesport, which was also a K through 12 setting, but also we had dual credit English that I taught there as well. So I was teaching into the college level as well. And all of that, K through 12, everything I had learned about curriculum was shot because of the testing. Yep.
Again,
Came
another
back.
6-hour topic.
Yes, we could go there. And so that was part of it. Another part of it was the dictates that were coming from actually federal more than the state.
Yes, yeah.
That as a teacher of literature, the Holy Bible, the Holy Scriptures are a part of literature.
Right.
And in all of our American literature particularly, but Old English literature, we have such references to the Bible. And at that point, the big push was on that you cannot utilize Holy Scripture in the classroom. And I objected to that on a personal level because of my faith and my belief, but also on an educational level. Because once again, someone outside of the student was dictating what the student could learn. And I learned real quickly that last year that we had stopped teaching the student and started teaching the facts. And I did not like that.
Yeah, teaching to the test has never been a big thing for me. I don't like that at all.
No.
I've always felt that being a teacher prepared you pretty well for doing other things in life, running a business, for instance. Looking at your face, you must agree with that a little bit.
Completely, yes, it did, in that I found I used so many of my tools from teaching, because I was teaching people new skills, I was teaching them life skills, many of which came about from my knowledge of parents of my students when I was in the classroom. Things that I saw that people needed to learn to function well in life. So yes, a lot of that. And as bad as I hate to say it, I learned a lot about documentation when I was teaching. And that's extremely important in a small business setting as well. But also, I was able to bring the joy that I saw in students' eyes and lives when I was teaching in the classroom. I saw that come about in the adults as they were for the first time realizing that they could be positive citizens, that they could be parents that they wanted to be, that they learned how to balance a checkbook that no one had ever taught them before. So I saw the joy even in adults as much as I did in students, and so
I think that ties back to North Central, because I felt since I've been here that the thing that we are offering is to students in the area is hope. Hope of creating something out of your life that maybe is different than what you expected, and if we were going to boil it down to what we do as a educational business, I think we offer hope. And maybe throw opportunity in there as well. But so I like the way that ties in together with what you were doing. You were you raised in this area?
I was born in Trenton, graduated Trenton High School in 1967.
Okay, wait a second. Let's stop right there. Were you a flower child as you graduated?
No.
Were you part of that?
Goodness. No. In fact, I have 4 brothers.
Okay.
2 that are older and 2 that are younger. The 3 of us at the upper end of the scale were boom, boom, boom. We were post-war children. Good. So we were tied close together, and we were probably disciplined a little more, I'm going to say, than my 2 younger brothers, who are 7 years and 10 years younger than I am. Now, they were that generation.
They had VW vans and
my
tie-dyes.
My one brother that's 7 years younger than I am went into the whole deal of converting vans. Back then.
Oh, really? Oh, sure.
Shag
Conversion.
carpets. Oh, my goodness, yes. Yeah, so he was, And in fact, moved to Florida. Not long after his high school graduation, and has stayed there since in Jacksonville, because the first pull down there was that very thing. It was far more popular and a lot more market for that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, and those conversion vans getting about 6.7 miles to the gallon. And
maybe.
We didn't care.
And we don't want to know what was going on inside of those shag carpet walls. We don't need to know that at all. That was a different one.
I'm sorry to interrupt with that little sidebar, but okay, so after graduating?
Went to Northwest, and then loved my education experience up there. So I don't promote it quite as much as I do in CMC, but I do promote simply because it too was a very student-friendly environment. And so I like that as compared to some of the other state schools and universities, I think. So, graduated and left the area, moved back here in 1989, brought my 3 daughters with me as a single parent, and I couldn't have found a better environment to raise children as a single parent.
Right. Have they stayed in the area? You see them a little bit?
Oh, well, I do. My oldest daughter, Kimberly, is a vocal instructor for opera at Indiana.
What?
Yeah, I know. And she brought that from here. from Indiana University's Jacobs School of Music.
Okay.
So she has been in Bloomington, Indiana since 1993, but she is a world traveler and a world educator. She takes all of this training to, in fact, Kenya, Dominican Republic, lots of places throughout the United States, that she presents music as a life opportunity that many students would never have. So she kept the legacy of education alive.
Right.
She's a great teacher, but beyond that, she's a good human being.
Right.
My second daughter, all three girls are different. My second daughter lives in Kansas City. She works for the Department of Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, regional office in downtown Kansas City. She's a service coordinator for about 60 right now, about
60,
60,
wow.
yeah, which is far too many, but the state has difficulty employing people in that arena. So she devotes many, many hours and a lot of her heart to helping people with developmental disabilities. I think she said right now the youngest one that she has is about 2 years old, and I know that the oldest one that she did have was over 90 years old.
So she works with cases,
direct,
right? Directly.
Yes, yep, she does.
Good.
And with great passion and great heart as well. Different from the music passion and heart, but my third daughter, the youngest, is prosecuting attorney at Lafayette County, which is about 3 times the size of Grundy County.
Okay.
It unfortunately backs up to Jackson County. So there's a lot of Jackson County crime that filters over into Lafayette County. Also, it has I-70 running right through the middle of it. And of course, as the years have progressed, a lot of drug traffic has happened.
Right.
She also has a very passionate and caring heart, mainly for the victims. She definitely...
Oh, wait, she's a prosecuting attorney?
She's a prosecuting
attorney.
And
has compassion for the victims?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
Yes. And is really a proponent for ways of rehabilitating criminals that can be rehabilitated. But on the other hand, she's fierce and fiery. And she
where does she get that?
I know. I don't know. I don't know where she got that. That I could give you case after case after case, but she definitely fights crime. That's fantastic. She is a officer of the law. Completely. She believes in the law. So she too has a very compassionate and caring heart. So 3 daughters with good hearts, but 3 completely different avenues that they've chosen for their lives.
And one mama that's very proud and loves them a lot.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, Phyllis, as we wrap this up, finally, we talked about the past, Trenton Junior College, North Central, the present. Well, how about the future? What do you see as the future of, first of all, North Central Missouri College, and kind of the whole plan for junior colleges, community colleges? How do you see that developing?
That's a good question. I have nothing but high expectations for the future for NCMC. I think we've indicated that by the programs that we've developed, locally certainly, but also the mere expansion that we're doing into Savannah, that we've opened up a second campus that already is just so far beyond expectations in the physical development of it, but also the programs, people that are standing and waiting in order to get into those programs. So I think that's very far-sighted. I think that we could have insulated ourselves and sat on our own accolades, if you will, here at this campus and been happy with it. Of course, the same is true with the Barton campus. And the development of all the programs that we've had here. So I hold great hope for NCMC. I see that the whole community college is burgeoning. I feel like that many people, certainly because of affordability, but also access, but because all in Missouri, all of the community colleges have been foresighted as well, that they are looking at what the future needs, not what the needs are today. And with that, I think people are learning real quickly the value of their education, but also preparatory. that attending a community college is going to give them good practical application of what they're learning, so that as they move out into the work world, they are far more ready than many of the theoretic 4-year or 6-year or 8-year that don't have a clue what life is about. So I feel like all community colleges do a great job with training their students with what life holds for them and the possibilities for that life, but also the reality of that life.
Thanks for joining us on the Pirate People podcast, and a special thanks to Phyllis Jackson. What a great guest she was. Until next time, we say goodbye and go Pirates.